Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into something pretty incredible, a hidden linguistic engine tucked away inside the Arabic language. We're going to explore two words from the Quran that, when you put them together, reveal this powerful, built-in system for how actions create results.
So, let me just ask you this. What if a language didn't just, describe the world, but actually had a fundamental feedback loop, a real mechanism for process and control encoded right into its vocabulary? Sounds kind of wild, but that's the fascinating idea we're digging into today.
Okay, so at the very heart of this are two root words. The first one, which is pronounced something like dabara, stands for the action, and the second, barada, is the result. Now here's where it gets really interesting. They're built from the exact same three letters, D, B, and R, just in a different order. And trust me, that is not a coincidence. It's the whole key to unlocking this deep mechanical connection between them.
All right, so let's start with the engine of this whole loop, the action root, DBR. This is what gives the whole process its direction.
So the core meaning of this root is all about operating with the end goal in mind. The best way to think about it is like you're steering a ship. You don't just look at the waves immediately around you, right? You look at your destination, the port you're heading for. That's exactly what this is. It's the very definition of planning and acting based on the outcome you want.
And you can see this main idea just branch out in all these different ways. When it's used for arranging something, it becomes tadbir. That's managing a whole system based on its final consequences. When you're talking about deep reading, it's tadabbur, which is reading a text by starting with what it all leads to in the end. Even the word for turning back, adbara, means reversing your orientation towards the back. You see, every single variation is pointing to the end.
We see this concept used so powerfully in the Quranic phrase yudabbiru al-amr, which means he arranges the affair. Now, this isn't just about simple planning, like making a to-do list. It implies a divine kind of regulation, one that manages an entire system because it's already aware of and operating from its ultimate conclusion.
Okay, so if DBR is the action of working from the end, then what exactly is that end state it's aiming for? Well, that brings us to the second part of our loop, the result root, BRD.
This root, BRD, is all about a final state. It's that point where a process is finally over, where all the energy is contained and things become settled and stabilized. Just think of it as a system reaching a state of coolness or closure.
And, just like our action root, this result root shows up in a few different forms. It can be bardun, which is a state of coolness or relief. It can be baridun, the attribute of being cool, like cool water. And this is fascinating. When that stabilization gets condensed down into little individual units, it becomes baradin, which means hail. All of these point to a process that's reached its final sealed state. A perfect example of this is when this fire, this process of intense chaotic energy, is commanded to become bardan, or cooling. It's not just about the temperature dropping. It's about transforming a dangerous, out-of-control process into a safe, bounded, and totally stabilized condition. That's the signature of the BRD root right there.
So we've got our action, operating from the end, and we've got our result, a stabilized, sealed state. Now it's time to connect the dots and show you the full feedback loop in action.
So here's how the whole loop connects. Step 1, an action, a DBR, is kicked off by focusing on an outcome. Step 2, the process runs its course. Step 3, it produces a result, a BRD, which is a brand new, stabilized state. And then, this is the crucial part, step 4. That result becomes the new reference point for the next action. It creates this continuous, self-regulating feedback loop.
To put it simply, the action of arranging from the end naturally creates a stabilized end state. And that very end state becomes the new starting point, the new after that the next arrangement begins from. It's just this elegant, self-regulating system that's built right into the language.
So why does all this matter? Well, because understanding this loop gives you a really powerful new lens, a set of tools you can use to analyze texts, systems, pretty much anything with a lot more depth.
First, you can use what we'll call the DBR pass. When you're analyzing something, ask yourself, what's the action being taken here? What's the intended outcome that it's working from? And most importantly, what's the end state this action is designed to produce?
Second, you can use the BRD pass to analyze the result. Look for where a process is being contained or stabilized. Ask yourself, is the outcome a general state of relief, that coolness?
Or is it being structured into distinct units like hail? This helps you pinpoint the signature of a completed process.
And that really leaves us with a final thought. This linguistic loop, it's a hidden system for thinking about cause and effect, action and result. It just makes you wonder, what other invisible frameworks, whether they're in our language or somewhere else, are quietly shaping the way you see the world?